You've tuned into Bellingham Podcast Media Tech for the week of June 12th, 2017, episode number 40. From the Sorry We're Late City of Subdued Excitement, I'm AJ Barcet.
And recovering from a nasty head cold, I am Chris Powell. On this episode, last episode, we challenged you to take some time in airplane mode. Did you fly the friendly notification-free skies? There's a piece of new tech that recently caught our eye. We'll weigh in to see if it's essential to own. Calling all cars, we have an iOS 11 alert for Apple operating systems. We'll have the 411 on upcoming updates. Clean up on aisle 6. We're taking a bite out of Apple's new produce. All that and more next on BPM Tech.
You did keep my one note in there.
Of course I would. That was clever enough.
Yeah, I thought it's a cheap joke. How you feeling, Chris?
Much better than I was last year. How are you doing, AJ?
Yeah, so I'm the reason why the podcast is late this week. If you hear me coughing, I apologize to all of our listeners. I got Maylaid last week. I was out of the office since Wednesday, and it went all the way through until even this morning. It's Monday at the time of this recording. I don't know how to call it. It's like pneumonia meets flu.
It's a nasty virus.
Oh, dude, it's gnarly.
Yes.
So anyway, if I have a sweet baritone voice, and if I cough on the mic, I apologize.
But that means that I get to take over for a little while then.
Thank you, Skippy Chris. You must be having some coffee.
I had my caffeine earlier today, so I'm doing just dandy. Thank you very much.
And that's what cures all things as I get my sweet, delectable dark nectar.
So last week we had a challenge about a Repeal and Replace initiative that we're doing here on these podcasts.
Yeah, challenge.
And so last week we challenged you, go in airplane mode. Turn off notifications, just exist. Were you able to go an hour? Were you able to go half a day? Were you able to go the whole working day? We want to know. How did it go for you last week?
Well, by proxy, I did an awesome job because the app that I mentioned, Flowing, I basically had that playing in the background because one of the side effects of this cold is you have this concussive cough.
Yes.
And I had to focus on my breathing, honestly. And because every third breath, I would just go into a coughing fit for probably a good 60 to 90 seconds, at which point I'm wheezing. So I threw on Flowing, and much like I would do to go to sleep, because that's the only way I could try to kick this thing is to fall asleep. I would put Flowing on, find my sweet relief of sleep using Flowing.
That is helpful. I did put it in airplane mode on a couple of occasions just because that's part of my normal ritual when I want to actually get some work done. But also, I'm sure we talked about this in a previous podcast. It's only been 40 of them in the past. Can you believe it?
4-0.
4-0, y'all.
Over the hill.
Yes, we are sporty in episode number 40. But one of the things that in airplane mode, I'm able to get like double time or half the time it takes to charge my phone fully when you stick it in airplane mode.
Really?
I kid you not.
Charging time changes when you have it all the radios disabled?
Well, when you put it in airplane mode, it charges faster.
Interesting.
Yes. I thought we had talked about that. I'm looking at you and you're like, this is new information.
This is new. Yeah, and this is on your 6S Plus?
Yeah, on the Beast.
Huh.
Anyway,
okay, cool.
Some to give a try, folks. If you have an iOS device or an Android device, and that's pretty much all of us, when you're charging your phone, consider putting it in airplane mode and just see how long it takes to charge up compared to having it normal usage. So one other thing that I did, though, to my phone that I want to make mention, no, this is not a shameless plug for an app, but I discovered something. There was one, in the App Store, they'll have kind of like these new shiny apps. And one of them was called Clarity. Not Claritin, which is what we both need for our allergies, but Clarity. And basically, this is a free app. And what it does is it allows you, I was able to get in touch with my inner phone interior designer.
Oh.
So on my home screen, I have the phone app, which is green. I have the Messages app, which is green. And I have a folder of all my apps encased in one. So I have 3 thingies on my dock on my phone, and everything else is just
very
nothing.
technical term, the thingy.
The thingies. And so with Clarity, you're able to modify your wallpaper. And You have three options. You can put a mask, which is like adding a gradient to your lock screen wallpaper. AJ, I don't know what a gradient is. What is a gradient for your wallpaper?
A gradient is whenever you have a photograph and you go from like a blend of black to white or any other color and it fades. A fade is basically a gradient.
Okay. So, right. So the second option is a blur, which I know what blur is because that's what I look like. That's what I see in the morning when I wake up. You can take a home screen wallpaper, which is all these retina-friendly, high-def wallpapers, and you can blur them, which is great. But then there's also the third one, which is gradient. And what I did was I took at the top, I made it black, naturally. And on the bottom, so going from top to down, black to dark green. Yeah. So therefore, my green phone app icon and my messages app icon are all nicely blended in the dock. So I got in touch with my inner green. It's not easy being green, especially when you have a wallpaper that is a dark gradient. So,
you might say you have a green thumb.
Yes, that too. But anyway, that was something I did to try to help out with the design of my phone.
Dude, okay, cool.
So, anyway, and also we got a shout out from a podcast.
Yeah, no, that's totally cool. So the last episode we threw down our top picks of podcasts.
Yes.
Or I think I called it the BPM Billboard Top 5.
Yeah, so what we listen to.
Yeah, and one of the ones on my list is the two guys, Michael and Kaz, who run the Two Broke Watch Snobs podcast.
Hi, snobs.
Hey, guys. So yeah, no, I was listening to their show this morning, making coffee and stuff, and Michael gave us a shout out from our shout out. So,
and thank you very much for the shout out. We appreciate that, and hope things go well for you in 2017.
Yeah, from one podcaster to another.
Salud.
All right. So speaking of watches, though,
yes.
And being broke watch snobs as we are, I see you have something on your wrist, mon ami.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, after 40 podcasts, you're well aware that Mr. Barcet is a reputable knowledge resource when it comes to timepieces that you put on your wrist. And
I don't know about that, but I
watch.
moonlight as a top. Okay, well that was one.
You know how to build a watch. Come on.
Okay.
Anyway, so after 40 episodes, he finally broke me down, folks. I'm getting over my cold too. And I saw the value after having, I'm going to go 0 for 3 when it comes to watches with faulty batteries or unreliable battery quartz.
We'll call them fashion quartz-based watches. Fashion being
the FQBW.
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
The FQBW. So anyway, I had an opportunity and I threw down, and I'm thinking, I said to myself, what would be a watch that would be reliable and yet not get the wrath of AJ upon me? And I was able to find a fairly reasonable deal on the Seiko SKX 007. And this is the diver watch. And so, yes, it's not as big a watch like I'm used to wearing a sundial on my wrist. However, it's an automatic movement. Call me off if I'm describing this incorrectly.
No, you got it.
But it's a solid watch, and here's what really appeals to me as I've gotten a couple weeks under my belt and using this. I wear it, and it winds itself automatically due to my movement. And I'm a rather my arms kind of move a lot.
You speak
as
with
I
your
walk.
hands.
I
like
speak
a good
with
Italian.
my hands. Yes, I'm half Italian. I am able to wind my watch just through talking. It does not run out on battery life
because there's no battery.
And that is a reliable feature in itself. Plus, I've just found that an automatic movement takes away one less part of friction. Is like I went through a good 6 months of looking at my watch when it is in the mid-afternoon and I see it is 8 something. I'm like, this isn't the right time. I haven't had I'm just looking at my watch like it's a fashion accessory, the FQBW.
Yeah.
And now I can actually tell when I look at my wrist, it is actually that time. So I found this to be a one less thing to worry about without a battery to go wrong or in internal quartz movement, despite how black and dark and stealthy the watch may be. So I'm part of the Seiko clique, Two Broke Watch Snob guys, and I'm happy to join the club. So that's what's on my wrist right now.
Good. And if any listener wants to know what we're talking about, if you actually rewind to our Christmas, the only video BPM that we've done, our Christmas episode that we did, this was my pick last year. The SKX 007, 009 series is kind of the perfect gateway drug when it comes to automatic and just mechanical movement watches. They're sub $200. You can find it on Amazon. The actual watch itself, like, it's burly. It's 200 meters resistance. And I love LumaBright. Like, that's the actual glowing thing that happens on the dial and stuff. So at night, once that thing is charged, it glows for almost ever.
Yep.
It's great.
And the two more things that appeal to me about it. Naturally, I alluded to it earlier in my poor attempt to imitate Sean Connery. It is a 007. Thank you very much. And of course, anything Bond related, I am down with. Second thing is, as I'm doing research on these watches, I like to have a customized experience. I usually don't go where everyone else goes.
Yes.
And this watch is moddable.
Yes.
And there's a big market for modding this particular model of watch.
Yes.
And so therefore, if I wanted to get none blacker, it's possible. If I wanted to make this with a Hello Kitty on the face, it may be possible. Maybe
Chris?
not.
Okay.
But better, decorum will prevail. But I'm able to make this my own by customizing my cup of coffee to what I want. So I'm enjoying the experience so far. A few weeks in with the Seiko SKX 007. Thank you very much.
So sorry for hopping the curb, but you are listening to Bellingham Podcast Media Tech on 102.3 FM KMRE, low power community radio here in Bellingham, Washington. So for our Repeal and Replace, we don't have a Repeal and Replace this week because we are going to take, like Chris said at the top of the show, we're going to take a bite out of Apple. Earlier last week, there was a shindig, a cacophony of fruit from this company out of Cupertino called Apple. And much like we did back in episode, I don't remember what it was, probably in the 30s.
I think so.
We covered Microsoft when they did their announcement for the new Surface product announcements, and we're going to do the same thing for Apple. So full disclosure, Chris and I both use Apple products. We also record our podcasts on iPhones and such. And much like we said with the Microsoft announcement, we're not going to fanboy or fangirl this up. Like, we're just going to basically talk about what Apple announced. It's not news. We're not trying to be like a news outlet, but frame this from the perspective of what the heck did they announce and what do real people need to know? Because they did a lot of marketing in this thing.
Yes, we think you're really going to like it as part of the whole bingo card for the Apple WWDC Worldwide Developers Conference keynote. All right, dude, let's go for it.
I can hear that eye roll.
Yeah.
So, High Sierra.
Yeah, so the current operating system of Apple is Sierra. Let's make it high.
Yeah.
Let's make it a quote-unquote fully baked version. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
nice pun.
Nice a pun.
Basically, you're taking... But this is a rather significant... There's a lot of differences that you're going to encounter in High Sierra, which is a clothing line, if I recall correctly, in some department stores.
I was going to say, it's also a magazine, too.
Yes, and it could be a SUV model for all we know. Anyway, High Sierra is the next step in Apple's evolution for a fairly secure operating system in comparison with others. However, if you have a desktop that is before 2009, so let's just say if you have a Mac computer that is older than 8 years, probably don't want to upgrade.
Right.
If you have a laptop that is 7 years or older, probably don't want to upgrade.
Right.
If you have an older Mac laptop, you may want to think about whether you want to upgrade or not. But they actually have requirements that you must meet these. So they're kind of leaving the requirements at 7 or 8 years old for their equipment,
which is actually pretty impressive. The fact is like, and you and I have seen this in our clients, like we have users that do have 7 and 8 year old laptops made by Apple that run fairly well. Maybe they've swapped out hard drives and such, but props. This is impressive because in Apple history, they usually don't do legacy support.
No, it's usually like 2 or 3 years old and time to upgrade in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And with High Sierra, it is a public beta, which Apple did, I think, starting 2 OSs ago, which means you do not have to be a developer. You can sign up for their public beta and you can actually get it. A word of warning to any creatives out there, I would advise you not to put this on your production machine.
Yep.
I know some people that do. I would advise against it because you never know what this might break. And I'm running it on one of my machines, a non-production machine. But if you want to try it out, cool. I would just always advise our users, anybody who's listening, yeah, try it, but don't put it on your main machine.
Or wait a while and be patient and let us take the bullet for you.
Yeah.
If there's something majorly wrong, we'll tell you about it.
Yeah.
Believe us. But do proceed with caution in this beta stage.
Yep, but I haven't found any issues yet. I mean, it's running pretty good, and I think they're up to beta 2. So other than that, there's speed bumps that they put into the OS to better utilize hardware. There's going to be they touted this the fact that when you copy and paste things, it's going to be super quick because there's a new architecture and stuff.
Yes, everything's faster, everything's better.
Shiny.
Exactly.
So moving on, that's all we're going to say about an OS. With hardware, we do have a new Elite dark stealthy. I'm looking at Chris because it's in black.
No,
iMac
it's not
Pro.
black, AJ. It's space gray.
Oh,
it's darker than the silver type hardware they've used before. It's not black.
Tell me how you feel.
I'm going to tell you how I really feel. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not black. It's space gray.
Okay.
All right. So, can we just end that right now? It's not black.
So they came out with they're going to be coming out. I believe it's available for pre-order, if I recall.
Everything's available for pre-order nowadays. Yes.
The iMac Pro, that means it is a quote the Mac Pro, which is typically the I call it the TARDIS trash can because it looks like a trash can. It's bigger on the inside. This is basically those type of guts in an iMac. They reinvented a new exhaust machine mechanism thing to vent off the heat, and geeky. We all don't care. The thing is that it is $5,000 to start, if I recall.
Very similar to a completely roided out Microsoft Surface table.
You noticed
top.
that.
Yeah.
You noticed that.
So, okay, fair enough. Forehand return.
Yes.
In the volley that Microsoft had for their Surface.
Yeah, but it does
desktop.
not have touchscreen. It
No.
does not have that cool little dial thing that the Surface has got. It doesn't do like there is a lot of doesn'ts. And again, if that's your tool, cool, look at it. But the thing is that like they were trying to tout that this comparably equipped to certain PCs. La 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 la. Again, if you're bread and butter, if you make money doing creative stuff and that tool works for you, cool.
So yes, it's beautiful. Yes, it's knock the lights
I
out.
wouldn't even say it's beautiful.
fast.
It's an iMac in a different color.
But the iMac is beautiful in itself. It is so slim.
right.
The lines are so etched. It is so svelte.
Thank you, Johnny Chris Powell.
Yes. All right.
Moving on, we have. Are you about that bass, Chris?
Okay. Yeah, I play a 5-string bass with a 500-watt amplifier going into a 4x10 cabinet.
So you're not going to spend $300 on a HomePod?
I push enough wattage to rearrange your internal organs. No, I'm not going to be dropping $300 on something that could go, hey, Siri, and do something for me.
We apologize if we just activated anybody's iOS
Yeah,
device.
but no, Apple is coming soon. For your Christmas shopping lists, yes, we're only about 6 months away from that big day or so. It's called HomePod.
Yay!
It's
another home assistant with a speaker.
Another speaker. It's Siri integrated with a whole lot of speakers that have room-filling sound to rock the house. I wish these execs would stop with the hyperbole.
I know. And on top, and here's the other thing. I'm going to kind of poke at Apple here. I don't like their design. It looks like, because they talked about the mesh and how it's very acoustically blah blah blah, and I'm like, honestly, so we've got if we were to put all of these home assistant speaker devices in the arena, in the octagon, we've got Amazon Alexa, we've got and the Echo, those type of devices, we've got the Google Home,
Yes,
and we've got the Apple HomePod. Honestly, and I've seen all three in real life, and I've played around with two of the three. Obviously, I haven't played around with the Apple one. I have to give a tip of the hat to Google's Home. I mean, I think it's better designed. It looks better. It responded well.
I was not expecting that response. I thought you'd be in the Amazon camp.
It's getting there. Like I like. I don't know. Like it was. I don't know. I think Amazon Alexa is very utilitarian. I think the assistant is great, but I like the Google Home's design.
And how you're describing this right now, AJ, and I wish folks you could see AJ talk about this because he's really coming up with the thoughtful, analytical explanation for where we're at right now. But what he's not saying, and I think this is what he's not saying, folks, is that these home assistant speakers are not ready for prime time yet.
No.
They don't. They're not. Nothing's ever going to be perfect.
No.
But Okay, so Apple's got to enter the game. Yes, they waited and allowed Amazon and Google to fight it out. And now it's like the WWF Royal Rumble.
Yeah,
you got
exactly.
wrestlers 1 and 2, and they're fighting each
And then
other.
all of a sudden, coming to the stage is The Rock. Where did he come from?
Yes, and he comes in all guns blazing.
Right.
And then he'll get his butt kicked as well
Right.
with the other competitors to the
Yeah.
game. Anyway, yes, Apple has a HomePod intelligent speaker available this fall, just in time for holiday shopping. If you know, $349.
Yeah, it's basically $300.
Yeah, and so, well, if that's what floats your boat, honestly, we did a show in the past in one of our 40 episodes about what would we do with X amount of money, and in lieu of $300 spent towards something that's Apple and Siri and Apple ID updated with Apple Music and things like that.
Well, even like when I was watching this, because I mentioned on that same show a couple episodes back, like I got that Vizio soundbar that's got Chromecast integrated and stuff. The thing going forward, and we saw this with TVs, like you don't want to have things built in. You want to have flexibility. I would love to see, and we kind of got a taste of this, AirPlay as a protocol being embedded into other devices. I think that'll be great. But having great. I have to spend $600 to get 2 of these, or for upstairs or downstairs, or left and right sound. I have a sound system. I have a TV. Give me, and I think that's where Amazon. That's why I said utilitarian has gone the right route, where of making the Echo Dot, where for $30 you get the assistant side and plug it into your speakers that you like. If that's what you need, want, feel froggy about. Anyway, take a look at that. That's Apple's HomePod.
Now, let's also talk about the mobile stuff, because we've got a ton of iPods.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, iPads.
Yeah.
The iPods are kind of an old school technology. iOS 11.
We're turning it up to 11.
Yes.
That was another buzz one.
Of course. So a new iPad design. We're not dealing with the iPad Pro, which is 12.9 inches, and the smaller one, which is 9.7. Now we've got another number.
We have a whole 10.5.
10.5 to
Yeah.
replace the 9.7, because you know what? 9.7 just wasn't awesome enough.
Yeah. Moving on.
Anyway.
So here's the thing. I'm going to skip the hardware, other than the fact that, iPad normal, for lack of better terms, 32 gig starts at $329. iPad Pro 10.5, which is the new one, starts at $629.
Well, we're into computer class, and that's what Apple's trying to do to justify that.
Exactly. That's for 64 gig. 64 gig of the 12.9, your gargantuan,
Yes.
is now rocking at $779. And the mini, which nobody kind of mentioned, you can get a 128 gig mini non-pro for $399, folks.
And the screen is still nice.
Just good, yeah.
And it still is sharp.
Yep. So here's the thing: is like when it comes to the hardware, you got to have a use case. Like you and I, our iPhones are our podcasting devices. If you're an artist, I use AstroPad for my photography. Okay, cool, giddy up. But I don't think anybody needs to rush out to get this new hardware. If you have within the last, well, heck, my iPad mini, I think, is like a 3rd gen.
Mm-hmm.
It's pushing 4 years, and it's perfectly fine.
And you know what? You know who is rushing out to get this? And this is what's upsetting me. If you can see the look on my face.
Yes, I see the flames.
A lot of tech bloggers and tech writers that are writing about this stuff.
And
because
that's why we do this show.
1 year ago, or maybe a year and a third ago,
Yearish.
there was a huge exultation from the choir of tech blogging angels. An iPad Pro, you could fit 2 minis side by side in this screen. People were replacing their desktop computers with a 12.9 iPad Pro. And now they say the 10.5 version is the best thing
Since
ever.
sliced bread. I know, and that's why we do this show. The real fact of the matter is honestly, iOS 11, I think is like the real deal. The fact that we are getting files,
Yes.
so you can actually have like a file architecture on your iPad. I'm hoping that extends to all iOS devices, not the Pro line.
Yep.
That was unclear to me. Siri, hey Siri, gets updates, new icon, that type of
Hey,
stuff.
AJ, what's the first thing you disable when you get a new iOS device?
Is Siri.
Right.
So AR kit though, augmented reality kit. I'm excited about that. The hyperbole that it'll be overnight the largest augmented reality platform. Don't really care. But the fact that we're getting a new API and a new tool for creative folk If you're not familiar with AR is, a good analogy would be if you go to like the IKEA app and you see a table that you like, and then you click on it and you click on AR, and then your camera gets activated so you can take a picture of your living room and see how that table looks. That's what AR is. And now there's going to be a unified API for iOS for it.
And with files, in folks, iOS 11 is going to be a pretty cool upgrade. But here's the thing. It's going to come with a little bit of a learning curve, because there's going to be a new way of accessing how to move files around.
Yeah.
And it's going to involve a lot of drag and drop on your touchscreen device. It's going to be something new. And I can see the people groaning and rolling their eyes right now, because there's one more thing that they got to learn. And this has only been 6 months since we had the fall season with the winter shopping season with new technology. And so we're in this together. We're going to learn, as soon as iOS 11 comes out, I'm going to be installing it, and I'm going to be learning how to use ways to move files around and to share, et cetera, et cetera. It's just more to learn.
And again, what I don't understand is, so I think it's a great announcement. The new dock, it acts more like OS X's dock. You can drag and drop apps to snap them. What I don't know for sure is what features get supported on what hardware. So, for example, you have full rotation display, like your gargantuan iPhone 6 Plus can go in full landscape mode, but my SE, which has basically the same guts as yours but a smaller screen, doesn't. And so that's what I'm concerned about is, okay, cool, we get files. What gets files? What gets the drag and drop? Does iPad mini get different flavor of iOS? And I'm unsure about that.
Or the iPad Air 2 that someone had bought a couple years ago. Is that going to get it? And so that's a question that we can dig into
once it lands.
Yeah.
But yeah, great features. I think it's long overdue. And I think it'll get some good popularity, especially among creatives. Like, I use iCloud to transfer a lot of my like Pixelmator stuff that I do on my iPad mini that I need to work on my MacBook, and I have to sync it up to the cloud and all this other jazz. Having a file architecture on these devices, these tablet and phone devices, great. The thing that I still don't understand is that on these brand new shiny iPad Pro 2s, for lack of a better term, is there still only one Lightning port?
Most likely.
I mean, so again, we record our stuff on iOS devices. Your device is quickly running out of battery because you hadn't charged it.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to, again, like, it would be great if we have more on the hardware side to support these cool software features. With that said, I have one other thing I want to throw in here, Chris, before we start signing off.
Yes.
And that is this segment that we kind of poke in every so often, tech that caught our eye. So outside of the Apple shiny, you can send all hate mail to the Bellingham podcast, #BHam podcast, Twitter hashtag. Chris and I monitor that. Or you can leave us a voicemail at the number...
Area code 201-731-8324. That's 201-731-TECH.
Just be nice about your hate mail.
And let us know.
Yeah.
We'll respond to it if it's nice.
The last thing is there's this... Again, this is offbeat. I found this essential.com.
Yep.
Now, you're probably thinking, it's got to be something feng shui or like Zen meditation.
I wish.
No, it's about a phone. It's a device. It's running on Android.
Yep.
And what's interesting is if you rewind way back into the BPM archives, you'll hear me mention this thing called the Phone Blocks Initiative. It was this Project Aura,
Yep.
where basically you had a modular phone, and it really didn't go anywhere. It was a really cool idea where you could just swap out modules and basically get more longevity out of our hardware. Essential is kind of going that same route-ish with an access point with these two little prongs, and one of their first devices that you can attach to this is a 360 camera. It's a cool idea. I love the fact that their whole mantra is, my phone is essential. And I'm just like, yeah, about that. It's not essential.
Well, yeah, it's a conversation topic.
But what did you think about this device, Chris?
I took a hard look at it, and I love the fact that there's another horse in the race.
Yeah.
Because I will never suggest anyone buy a Samsung phone.
Sure.
Proceed with caution with iPhones because they're a premium product.
Sure.
Google is now doing something with their Pixel line or their branded phone line, which I thought was a great concept in itself. Nothing is permanent in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
The Essential phone has some really solid hardware specs. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, you want to take good photos, they got you covered. I like the fact that they've got this little two-pronged access
node,
point,
yeah.
where the charger could also lay it down, it charges. Put a phone adapter, a camera adapter on it, it charges. It could be something with put a room-shaking speaker on it, and you can use that as well. I like the variable attachment thing that you can add something to make it suit your needs.
Right.
And it's in that upper price point, $629 or so. I mean, $600 or $700. We see another previous episode of BPM where we talk about, do you buy something on contract with a monthly payment, or do you shell out a lot of money right now, right off the bat, for a phone and own it outright? Andy Rubin from Google is kind of spearheading this project, and I'm glad there's another horse in the race.
Yeah. So we ran a little bit long, but that wraps it up for this edition of BPM Tech. Thank you again so much again for listening to us, rating us, reviewing us on the iTunes, on the Google Play, on the SoundCloud, and even the Spreaker. That's that speaker one with the R in the middle. If you're in the Bellingham area, you might be listening to us on 102.3 KMRE.
Low power.
Community radio here in Bellingham, Washington. From the city of subdued excitement, I'm AJ Barce.
And full of echinacea, I am Chris Powell. Thanks again for listening to us on BPM Tech.